By Chaplain Daniel Digg of Advent Health Mission and Ministry, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. God, we come before you today, so thankful for this time. Lord, I pray that we can use our best skills and our best judgment as we move forward. Lord, I pray for strength and wisdom for the leadership of our community. Lord, and the decisions we make today are what's best for the generations to come. We put all of this in your hands, in your precious name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk call the roll?
Councilman Grubbs. Present. Councilman Bastian.
Here.
Councilman Stiltner.
Here.
Vice Mayor Foley.
Here.
Mayor Burnett.
Present. All five of us are here. We have a quorum and then some. We have an official meeting underway. Brings us to recognition and proclamations. Very moving start to the meeting, and very appropriate that we do this recognition. Recognition of Sunshine State Sonar and Recon Dive Recovery for their efforts in finding Robert Hica's vehicle. Chief?
Good evening. Can you hear me? All right.
Yes, sir.
Assistant Chief Bill Proctor with the Port Orange Police Department. We're here today to recognize the Sunshine State Sonar and Recovery Dive Team that helped us solve missing persons case from, his name was Robert Hica. Just a quick overview of the case. Several years ago, about 2 years ago, his employer reported him as missing. He hadn't come to work. The investigation became complicated because we didn't know where his last known whereabouts were, so we had to work the case that way. There was no evidence that he returned home or even to the city of Port Orange the evening he went missing. So as the investigation continued, numerous separate investigations led detectives to the areas, including Volusia County, Brevard, Orange County. The sheriff's dive team and other agencies cooperated together and checked countless bodies of water from little retention ponds to large lakes along the path that we thought he had taken. And there was no sign of Robert Hica or his vehicle. As the second anniversary of Robert Hica's disappearance approached, we met with Mike Sullivan at Sunshine State Sonar and Recon Dive Recovery. We requested their assistance in the investigation. The company was willing to help, and all their efforts would be free of charge. They worked with POPD for the next several months, searching many places that had already been checked and several new ones. Still, they found no sign of Robert Hica or his vehicle. Then on April 9th, 2023, Sunshine State Sonar teamed up to continue the search off of State Road 44. Later that afternoon, through their exhaustive efforts, they located Robert Hica in a small body of water off Pioneer Trail. The body of water where they made the discovery had previously been checked, but the vegetation and narrow dimensions of the small pond did not allow for their tools and their sonar to operate properly. However, the water had receded in April of 23, allowing for the discovery. And during the 7 months Sunshine State Sonar was involved, they conducted approximately 30-mile-long ground search. They conducted sonar searches in more than 70 bodies of water between Orlando and Volusia County. This investigation would not be over if Mike Sullivan, Ken Fleming, John Martin, and the rest of the Sunshine State Sonar and Recon Dive Recovery members had not become involved. They should all be commended for their diligence and outstanding effort that led to the closure of this case and the closure for Robert Hica's family. So thank you.
This is an incredible effort on the part of a lot of people, and although it had a very sad ending, it had a proper ending where it would have been left wide open. Council, if you'll do me a favor and join me down with the chief as we recognize these people.
Martin.
Yes.
That's for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And there's your foundation.
Nice. Thank you.
We don't do anything small here.
Yeah, I see that.
Thank
So,
you very much.
yeah, thank you. That's me.
That's yours.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's yours.
Thank you.
Mr. Fleming.
Thanks, Chief. Appreciate it.
I think you were the one that went in the water.
Yes, sir.
Was it cold?
Appreciate you guys. I think we, counsel, I know you all want to shake your hands just as much as I do, so we're gonna take a picture.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Thank
you guys. Well done.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Michelle, I'll bring those over here, and then Mike can take our picture. Counsel.
I always get seen.
Don't even think about it. He tried.
If one of you guys don't mind taking just a couple of minutes to come back up and tell us just a little bit about the organization, because I know a lot of people will be watching this tonight on TV, and I think it'd be beneficial for the community to know a little bit more about what you guys do. I've read some great stuff online, by the way. You guys are awesome, and I'd like for people to be able to hear that. Yep, please, if you would. And then if people are able to and inclined to do what they can to support you guys, let them know how they can do that as well.
Yes. You want me to speak right here into the mic?
Right?
Yes, sir.
So I'm Mike Sullivan with Sunshine State Sonar, and as the chief said, we teamed up with the detectives from the Port Orange Police. And I'll say one thing, you guys have an amazing police department here, because without your detectives, Ben, Lance, Mike Wallace, Steve Nagy, and those guys, we would have never found them. It's because their willingness to work with our organization. It was a team effort. It took every one of us to find them. So, yeah, and do you want to say something?
Sure. We're 100% volunteer organization. So one of the ways you can help us out is we've got GoFundMe's at Recon Dive Recovery and Sunshine State Sonar. The public can go ahead and volunteer. We never charge the families for our work, and we don't ever want to be a pay for play. We go out there, we volunteer. We were out today from 11:30 till now. We barely got here on time for this.
Yeah.
So we're working
Just made
a case in Orlando today. Again, 100% volunteer. So we've put our time, energy, and treasure into doing what we passionately love to do, which is bring people home to their families that are missing them.
And I think I saw something on a site recently too, where you guys had a discovery of some crazy amount of stolen vehicles
Oh, yeah.
18 vehicles, in 72
18
hours.
and 72 hours, yeah.
in one body of water.
No,
13 in one body.
13, including a box truck that someone had drove in the water. So, and then we found 4. In the last 100 days, we've solved 4 missing person cases. One of them was a 22-year case, a mother that went missing 22 years ago. It was a homicide, and we found her just miles from her home in a retention pond behind a Publix.
And a few days after Mr. Heika, we saw Robert Helfrey, who was a veteran like myself, 17-year missing case over in the St. Petersburg area.
That was in Pinellas County, and we were working with their detectives as well on that, and that was big. But on on the Robert Heika one, one of the things that we did on that ended up being really the game changer. We had that ground search, and all the bodies of water were searched, on the State Road 44 and Pioneer Trail. This body of water that he was found in, we actually did a ground search. What was it, back in December, John? I think it was. Back in December, yeah. And
November.
yeah, and we're just walking in the woods on the side of the road, and we see this tiny body of water, and this thing's probably
This was like 75 feet off the road.
yeah, and it's off the road, in the trees, in the woods, and you say to yourself, we went there. We didn't actually have our sonar equipment on us that day because it was a ground search, so we didn't bring anything. We seen it, and then it's just like, there's no way there's a car in there. We left, and it was what that
You had
day.
actually magnet searched it as well.
Yeah, we threw all we had on us was a magnet. We tossed it in, and then we had plans to come back up here, continue our search. And my brother John's like, "Hey, remember that little sliver of water we saw in the woods that day?" I said, "Yeah." I was like, "Let's go back and check." He said, "Let's go back and check that," and we did, and just unbelievable that he was in there. So
The
it was,
water had receded, and sure enough, the roof of the vehicle was sticking out of the water.
Yeah.
So one thing I could recommend, if someone could look at it maybe from the county, is there are a lot of straight roads in that area, and that's one sharp S turn that's supposed to be slowed to 45, maybe some rumble strips and slow it down to 35. There have been 5 previous fatalities in that curve, not in the water, but there were car parts all over the side of the road there. There were 2 memorials, 1 motorcycle, 1 vehicle, so it is a dangerous spot in the county, so maybe the county can look at that as a guardrail spot.
For sure.
Yeah, it's in New Smyrna, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming out, and what
Yeah.
you guys do is just, it's absolutely amazing, and we wanted to get you guys here and pay recognition for what you guys have done, and make sure people know about what you guys are doing out there, and because the stuff that I've read online is nothing short of just absolutely amazing, so.
We,
thank you guys
we
very much.
appreciate it. Thank you.
We appreciate you guys.
Keep
Thank
us
you.
in prayer.
Yes.
Thank
Will
you.
do.
Keep doing what you
Absolutely.
do.
Thank you, guys.
We appreciate you.
Item 5. Item 5 is Teacher Appreciation Week. We have a proclamation. I am presenting the CJ. You want to go ahead and come up, and I'll meet you here in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and read the proclamation into the record.
May I have my fellow teachers?
Absolutely.
Come on down.
Okay, we do got some teachers. Okay. Whereas we celebrate the contributions of all teachers who demonstrate an exceptional capability, inspire a love of learning and students, and whereas teachers open students' minds to ideas, knowledge, and dreams, and whereas teachers keep American democracy alive by laying the foundation for good citizenship, and whereas teachers fill many roles as listeners, explorers, role models, motivators, and mentors, and whereas teachers continue to influence us as long as our school days are memories. Now, therefore, I, Donald O. Burnett, Mayor of the City of Port Orange, proclaim May 8th to May 11th, 2023 as Teacher Appreciation Week in the City of Port Orange, and we recognize the accomplishments of all these dedicated individuals in teaching our youth. We urge all our residents to thank our teachers for preparing our children for the future and fostering a love of learning for all our future American citizens. And with the seal of the city and my signature, it is so declared on this day and in this place. And this is where y'all can clap with these wonderful people. Why don't we stand over here? We'll do that before Mike yells at me. I want you all to hold that. We all did the work, but I'm just here to. That's awesome.
Thank you.
You got it? Appreciate y'all. This part of the agenda, I'm getting my steps in. On to the consent agenda. Public comments on consent agenda items? There being none, can I get a motion to approve the agenda for the evening?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, a proper second to approve the agenda for the evening. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Can I have a motion for consent agenda items 8 through 14? I don't know why that was such a mouthful.
Move to approve consent agenda items 8 through 14. You messed
See,
me
it's
up.
catchy.
I'll second.
We have a motion, proper second. Consent agenda items 8 through 14. Call the roll.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes. Consent agenda is approved 5-0. That brings us to public participation. Mr. Robert Reinhagen.
Mayor, council members, Robert Reinhagen, 1425 Dexter Drive North. Recently, we've heard a lot about the renovated rec center, and to me, the Parks and Rec department has again demonstrated their professionalism, their competence, their ability to be responsible, and their creativity. Therefore, I recommend that you consider that the next step is to turn the YMCA building over to Parks and Rec department. The pool and workout areas would be an excellent complement to the activities offered in the renovated center. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Robert. Tracy, do you have any others? No? Okay. That brings us to council comments. Let's start on this end with the new guy. Tracy, got anything this evening?
Two things. The first one is as far as Parks and Recreation and how it came together is just a beautiful thing. In my business, we actually just utilized it for a meeting place, and you couldn't ask for a better forum. So just throwing that out there, if you guys are looking for meeting places, it's an awesome thing. They had it set up and ready to go, and even we may have stayed a little later for them, but we took care of them. So yeah, the venue is there, and it's an awesome venue for everybody. Next thing is dealing with the Click It and Fix It for the city as far as potholes, sidewalks, reporting things to the city. We had a individual email me, and I want to make sure that everybody understands that Click It and Fix It doesn't mean when the city responds back that it's fixed. It means that the city has been notified and they have looked at the problem and it's on the agenda for them to come back to fix it, aka sidewalks. We have new utilities director, and we also have the concrete companies bidding now to be able to fix these items. In the past, the city's been a little bit behind on those things, so now they're playing catch up because they have new department heads and people that have bid to do the contracts. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that the click and fix, it's going to be fixed. It's when they respond back to you that it's being taken care of and it's on the agenda, but it may be one of many things on the agenda that they have to tackle. Click
Depending
and
on the
fix.
department and the priorities and everything else in front of it, it might be an easy fix. You never know.
Correct. So, and then lastly is, I know Mayor Burnett has been talking about the bond initiatives for the Parks and Recreation. One thing that came out many, many years ago was dealing with Parks and Recreation of having trails to the parks. One of the things that was brought up was dealing with the power lines. Power lines interconnect the whole city. So one of the things that I would ask council to look at is the possibility of initiating with FPL to come back and revisit that we can use those to connect all of our parks. Overpasses over busy highways, which would help for the school and the communities and the safety of kids crossing major roads, but also tying all the parks together. If you were trying to go from one ball field to another, couldn't happen, not safely. So this would be one way of doing it. Plus, it's also land that's unusable. So why not having walking paths for all ages, biking paths for all ages, that the parks can actually be all connected? Food for thought.
Not bad. Your wife's a smart lady.
I know, not me.
Just FYI, before I was on council in 2010, I spent a couple years on the Environmental Advisory Board, and his wife chaired it. Tracy's wife chaired it, and she is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, it was a great experience for me.
Still a good experience for me.
There you go. Read what you got today.
Nothing this evening, actually.
Excellent report. Thank you. Scott, what you got?
Just a quick comment. We had another very successful car show here at City Center.
Oh, yeah.
That is getting great reviews and praise from a lot of people in the community as an event that they're very happy that we are now hosting. For those that haven't had a chance to get down there and check it out, I highly encourage that. I think they do it once a month. And
Second Saturday.
yeah, second Saturday, right? And the dates are on the city
June
website.
10th is the next one.
Yep. But
Can you
yeah,
tell I'm looking forward to it?
right? Very nice event. It's a great, just a very casual, low key, tons of great cars to check out and look at in a really nice environment. And they seem to have a good, be good at picking weather dates because it's been pretty nice. So that's good. So kudos to that. That's all I got today.
All right. Drew, you got anything for
I
us?
got nothing tonight, so.
Excellent report. I just have a quick one, and it's kind of more of a public service announcement, and the chief's probably going to kill me because it means they might get some calls, but a lot of people don't know this, but when we get people knocking on our doors, and I think that this is, right now, this is the time of year we get people knocking on our doors talking about trimming our trees. We also have people knocking on our doors. They want to fix your roof with a free roof inspection and things like that. I want people to know that the City of Port Orange has an ordinance against solicitation without a permit. If these people are unwelcome in your neighborhood and you're not sure, just ask politely. Do you have your solicitation permit from the City of Port Orange? Because quite frankly, even if they have a service and they're reputable and they're doing it the right way and they're offering you something good, you want to deal with a company that's operating lawfully. And I would encourage these companies, please operate lawfully in the City of Port Orange. Get a solicitation permit. We issue them, we'll give them to you. But it's important because right now, I don't know about y'all, but 3 or 4 times a week, somebody's knocking on my door for the same reasons, whether it's my roof or my trees. My trees are fine, my roof is fine. Thank you very much. But you can keep coming anyway, that's okay. But do it with a solicitation permit, because what we're trying to do is make sure that people who don't belong in our neighborhoods aren't there. There are a lot of contractors out there that do suspect work. And there are other things that come into play with that. Certainly they want to make sure they're licensed and insured and the things like that before they come and do work in your neighborhood. But there's a lot of that going on. And first and foremost, if you're not sure that they belong or not, just ask them. Do you have a solicitation permit? And if they don't, if they argue with you, just politely say, nah, if you have a permit, let me see it. If you don't, because I had one person tell me, I've got it, but it's back in the car. And I'm like, well, go get it and I'll talk to you. And he didn't come back. Just politely. But I also know he didn't knock on any other neighbors in the neighborhood either. But if they continue and they don't belong in your neighborhood, our police department will check them out. Now, granted, they've got other calls too, and they will prioritize. But if they're free, and there's someone in your neighborhood and you're sure or even unsure that they don't belong because they can't present a solicitation permit, we'll check it out. Because the last thing we want is people knocking on doors with ulterior motives in our neighborhoods. And it happens. Because some of these people aren't just there checking your trees to make sure they need trim. They're looking for cars that might be unlocked, or there are items in there. They might be back later. I don't know. But that's just a comment. We're all seeing a big uptick in that. Port Orange does have a requirement for solicitation permits, so you can use that as a tool to protect yourselves, and we'll help you with that.
Mayor, if I could just interject, great thing to talk about. A quick comment on that is that the permit does not allow for solicitors to go into certain areas of the city, like HOAs, the homeowners association, communities where it's posted no soliciting. It does not allow them to do that. So very important to keep in mind, because I think we've got close to 70.
That's another layer of permission that they would need.
Right, that's right. And most homeowners associations
do you have
are not
permission
gonna
from
allow
our
it.
HOA, and do you have a solicitation permit?
Just
But
keep that
the
in
whole
mind.
idea is that we're keeping our neighborhoods safe and people who don't belong there. There are certainly people that do their job the right way, and if they're going to do their job the right way in a lawful way, they'll get their solicitation permit. Thank you, Scott. If that's all for council comments, we will move on. Item 16, Citizen Advisory Committee to the TPO. Mr. Bobby Ball.
This is going to be a stellar report. Watch.
Stellar by short, yes. Bobby Ball with the CAC for the TPO. We had our monthly meeting, and it was a short meeting, and we had a couple updates on the 5-year TIP program and the 2-year work program. And the only thing to point out is on the call for projects recently, the city's projects were voted high by the subcommittee, which I was on, so that was nice. I'm waiting to get the final listing and how it came out, but hopefully good news for us. And that's all I've got.
Any questions for Mr. Ball?
Excellent.
Maybe at some point, though, Bobby, if you can maybe coordinate with Wayne and Tim, once this I-95 and Pioneer Trail does kick off, we all know it's coming, but a lot of residents ask, like, what's it going to look like in the phases? What are those timelines? And so from time to time, maybe when you get a chance to come up, if you can just kind of, and I know you'll say it more than once, but just kind of rehash what those timelines are looking like. And
so actually I had on my calendar to update you on that every quarter, and this quarter is in design right now, and it's supposed to be bid in December.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby.
They need to be prepared.
The public hearing portion of our meeting is now open. Item 17 is second reading of ordinance number 2023-03. An ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, approving the Fourth Amendment to Riverwood PUD Plan Unit Development Agreement, providing for the repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Move to approve ordinance number 2023-03.
Second.
We have a motion, proper second. The item is open on the floor for discussion. We hashed through this pretty good at first reading, gentlemen. Do we have any questions or comments? There being none, would anyone here care to speak to the item? Jessica, you're not going to stand up and try to talk us out of it? All right. There being none, back to council. Final comments? There being none, call the roll.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
No.
Councilman Stillner,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 4-1. Drew, you're consistent.
Yes, sir.
Next item is item 18, approval special exception to allow off-site parking at 3640 Nova Road. Recommended motion is to approve the special exception request to allow off-site parking at 3640 Nova Road to provide additional parking for Giuseppe's Steel Pizza City Restaurant. May I have the motion?
Move to approve item number 18.
Second.
I felt that coming. The motion and second is recorded. The item is open on the floor for discussion. Wayne, who do you have presenting for us tonight?
Penelope Cruz Planning. So before you is a special exception request for off-site parking associated with the Giuseppe Steel City Pizza. I do want to first note that the restaurant site is developed to meet parking standards. That's how they got their approval and move forward. So this isn't a matter of needing, to meet standards that's already met on the site. This is a request from the applicant because of their popularity and the need for additional parking above code. And basically to allow for their employees to park over in this off-site parking and to free up the more convenient parking spaces for their patrons. So the staff report went through all the review criteria for the special exception and has met all the criteria. There is a site plan that's already actually been under staff review for some time for this parking lot, and it has been designed to meet all the land development code requirements for a parking lot. It's been reviewed by the development review committee, so it has been reviewed and meets all the dimensional requirements for a parking lot, stormwater requirements, landscapes, buffer requirements. They also, although not required, are providing a 6-foot tall privacy fence on the rear in addition to the landscape buffer that meets code. So they're meeting all those requirements, and the staff report went into detail onto the specific special exception requirements, and all those have been met as well. So staff is really just here to answer any questions you may have. We are recommending approval, and the applicant is here to address any questions you have as well.
Very good. Council, questions of staff?
I think an extra 42 parking spaces will be quite beneficial down there. For sure.
I couldn't agree more. It's amazing how hard it is to find a parking space because they're so popular, and even when you're visiting them in the middle of the week, not much less a weekend.
Well, and the carry out business is crazy. I mean, it's awesome, but it's
great.
tough to even find that temporary parking spot to go and do that.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of folks like to do that. So,
Talk about a successful tear down and rebuild.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for staff or comments? We want to hear from the applicant. Anybody need to hear from the applicant? Okay, in that case, let's hear from the public. Would anyone here care to comment on this item? There being none, back to us. Council, final comments?
Good to go.
Call the roll.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. The public hearing portion of the meeting is now closed. Additional items, city attorney report.
Nothing further than that.
Excellent report. Item 20, city manager evaluation. Wayne, have you had a chance to meet with everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Council, this is our public portion this is one of the most interesting things that people can have is that a lot of times people work for one boss Wayne, you have 5. And a lot of times you get to have these reviews, and we've all had in-depth conversations with you, but very seldom do people have the experience of their bosses going and publicly talking about the good, the bad, the indifferent. But that's where we're at because, you know, obviously that is a very important part of what we do, and you report directly to us. I know, Tracy, I'm going to let you go first, but I also know that your experience with us has not been that long. So if you want to keep it light and easy, I'll let you off light and easy.
I would probably prefer that, and Wayne would too, but it's been a learning experience for both of us. I would have to say Wayne and his staff has been gracious in teaching and learning to me. Also, when I come to him with multiple questions, he's ready. He's got them as far as answers. So it's been a delight. Okay.
Reed?
Yeah, I'm you know, I met with Wayne earlier today, and talked about the challenges we've seen over the last couple of years, and what we want to see going forward. You know, publicly, I don't really have a lot to say. I think overall, Wayne's doing a really good job, and there's a lot of things he can be proud of. And I look forward to seeing what he does over the next 12 months, or when we're doing this again.
Okay. Scott?
I can't believe we've done this. We're doing this for the second time, Wayne. The months seem to go by really quick. You know, the city manager role is, I think, an ever-changing role in a sense of you just never know what tomorrow is really bringing in a city. I mean, you've already been the city manager through 2 major storm incidents that happened in very close, proximity of time. Even though I know, your experience and your history has been involved in that kind of stuff. I mean, there's some city managers that will do 15, 20-year careers and never have any of those kind of incidents at all. There is no doubt that we made the right selection hiring Wayne Clark to be the city manager of Port Orange, and he proves that very frequently, especially in an ever-changing environment. And I'm sure sometimes we probably can frustrate you and your staff, because at times I know council will change direction maybe without notice sometimes, and we're always bringing up something, but I very much appreciate your communication skills and your patience and your flexibility to work with us. If anybody ever wants to be a city manager job, know for sure it is not an 8-to-5 job. There are many times where we're talking at 6:30 in the morning or 9:30 at night, and 7 days a week. Couple of things that in talking with Wayne that I'm really looking for in the coming year, just to kind of put that out there, is we are definitely seeing a very challenging time across the spectrum of our services that we offer our residents in terms of recruiting, hiring, retention of employees in every facet of government organization. And we're not alone in that. In fact, the entire southeast portion of the United States, for sure, and maybe most of the country, is in the same boat. But what that's going to do is it's going to really demand that city managers start getting outside the normal box, so to speak, of how we go about doing that, because the residents still want the services, and it's very, very challenging to find people that want to work and want to work in government, and we're competing constantly. It's non-stop competition in every aspect of that. So especially when it comes to the recruiting, I'm seeing lots of really unique things when it comes to recruiting, using social media now and recruiting nationally as opposed to just in your backyard, and having to get out there and recruit folks that are maybe in high school, not so much to come to work for us right now, but to get them thinking about wanting to work in government and what government jobs have to offer, and how they can prepare themselves to that. So I've spoke with Wayne about that, and definitely challenging him that'll be a focal point as we move into his 3rd year of service with the city. But other than that, I really appreciate the job you do and your team, and I know it's hard to sit up here because I know it's not about you, and I know you have a lot of great people and your great staff, and everybody all the way down to every employee in the city is what makes it all happen. And so when we speak about you, we're really speaking about your entire team for the city. So we appreciate everything you guys do.
Drew, your input?
Okay, so I also had a meeting with Wayne. He is an excellent manager and has consistently performed above expectations. And so I'm not big on the public, evaluations and everything, but I have a written copy, hard copies available for anybody that would want it. You request it through the clerk, and there's a written record of the evaluation, and he's done an outstanding job.
Okay. Well, Wayne, I did not give you a perfect score, but you got an awful high mark from me as well. And I think this is the sign of a leader that you get too much credit when things go well, you get too much blame when things go poorly. But at the end of the day, you're responsible for everything that goes on here. The one thing that I appreciate as much as anything is the customer service focus. I've said this a number of times, and I'll continue to say that. We are a customer service organization first and foremost. Every department, that's what we're about, serving our citizens. And that culture is important. I think that you have worked in the organization to reorganize and make it fit to those aspects. I know some things you've made tremendous progress with. I know some of those efforts are ongoing. We talked about that extensively. Some of the efforts and what we've seen in 2 years are night and day compared to what you started with. And some of the things that you're starting to work on now, I can't wait to yield the results of what those things are. But overall, Wayne, I couldn't be happier. I also told you that the compensation conversation, that's up to the 5 of us. Gentlemen, if you want to have that conversation tonight, that's fine. If you want to have that as part of the budget conversation, that's fine. Generally speaking, we usually don't make an adjustment in the compensation until the beginning of the fiscal year, as not to upset the apple cart more than we already did with a resolution earlier tonight. Wayne, I've just really got 2 words for you. Thank you. Gentlemen, are you fine with having a conversation about compensation tonight, or do we want to have that another time with budget?
I'm okay with doing it tonight because basically we're in the budget season basically.
Yep.
and so
Giving
we
staff
could-
an expectation.
and then we could plan and be ready when that time comes.
Okay.
I have no issue having the conversation this evening.
We have consensus. Well, then let's have the conversation. Drew, why don't you start, since you're,
Well, we hired Wayne.
oh, wait a second. Oh, you're gonna come in real high. I blew that. I should have started at this end. Go ahead, Drew.
So we hired Wayne, and we clearly made the right decision. Been with us a couple years now, and he consistently performs, in my opinion, above expectations. He's not an average employee. He's an excellent employee. He's an excellent person, and clearly, there's value in that. He is the city leader, basically. He's the public face of the city, and he represents the city very well. And I certainly have no problem doing a bump in pay effective October. So we can plan for it, budget for it, and do it the right way. So I don't know where we start there, but I certainly there is a bump is warranted, and I would support it strongly.
What would you support? 5%, 7%, 3%?
Keep in mind, Drew, I believe, Wayne, correct me if I'm wrong, you're at 175 right now? Ballpark of 175,000 currently.
Or you can recommend a specific dollar amount. I can tell you what the percentage is. We can take this anyway. I mean,
See some smoke coming out of the calculator.
No,
You want me to come back to
I'm
you?
trying to do the math. I'm in the probably 5 to 7 range.
okay. Scott?
Yeah, I don't have a problem having the discussion tonight, and I kind of agree with everything Drew was talking about. I like, especially in a position like this, I like to look at the competitive market. It's a very unique field. It's a very narrow market. I'd like to see, definitively where Wayne stacks up with his experience, geographically speaking, in our area, and making sure that we're, keeping him in a competitive realm. I don't have a specific number because I don't have that data. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
Reed, what's your thought?
Yeah, I agree. Last year I wasn't in favor of giving a raise but that was because I was really being strict with our finances. Not because of anything with performance, but I think Wayne's definitely done a great job in a lot of areas, really high marks, and I think he deserves to be compensated for that. And so in my head, I'm in that 3 to 5% range. Like I said, Scott brings up a really good point. The importance is competitiveness, right? Amongst the other cities in Volusia County and nearby areas. I've done a little bit of research, but not enough to, it's not going to be the most efficient as if we were having staff presented, obviously. But I'm thinking 3 to 5% is a good place to be.
Go ahead, Tracy. I'll make a recommendation after y'all speak, but I want to hear from you.
Good people is hard to find today. We all know that. We battle that in every department right now, as far as fire departments, police department, and utilities. When you have somebody that is leading the city and fixing issues at a proper rate and then having kudos given back from other organizations, that's a hard thing to find. So compensation is there. What that number is, I have to agree with Scott. It's finding the right proper number that justifies but also doesn't disqualify. So research needs to go into it to make sure that it is right for him.
Well, I'm going to tell you, if you want to remain competitive, then the percentage is going to freak you out. Because to remain competitive, you probably want to pay him about $190,000 a year, which is about an 8% raise.
Yep.
I would recommend a $12,000 raise and put him at 187,
So that would be at 7% then.
which is roughly 7. I think that's probably about 6.6%. I would recommend 12,000. So move from 175 to 187. And that would put Wayne pretty close to the median for cities this size in this area. Probably throwing out Daytona Beach. Sorry, that skews it a little bit too high for me, Wayne. But at the same time, if you're able to go home and tell your wife that they like me and I get to keep my job. Oh, and by the way, I might be getting a raise too. She might like you too. I don't know. I'm sure she wouldn't complain. Council, what do you think of my recommendation, 12,000?
Are you pretty confident in that that's what?
I've looked at a lot of numbers.
Have you? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen them. I guess I kind of assumed we would get, after tonight, get kind of provided with that so we could put eyes on that. But if you're confident that that's what the numbers are, geographically speaking, in the area, then,
It will
that
not.
makes sense.
It will still not make him among the highest paid city managers in Volusia County, but I think the number is fair, and I think it'll put him just above the median. And for a second-year city manager, I think well on the track. If you guys want to do something different, that's fine too, but I feel pretty good about it.
I'm good with that. That's in that range I wanted to be in.
Do we have a consensus?
You said there was nothing beforehand?
I'm sorry?
There was nothing that was done before?
Last year, there was one passed last year. I just didn't support it. But that was my own fiscal approach to last year's budget. So this year, a little different.
There was a lot of
in
uncertainty.
my head, I was kind of thinking 185. So you're talking
Not far off.
We're not that far apart. I think you're really close to consensus. I'm sure
Well, in that regard, why don't we go ahead and get a motion on the floor to approve a 12,000 a year annual raise effective October 1st for the city manager.
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve a $12,000 raise for the city manager effective at the beginning of the new fiscal year, October 1st. We have a proper second. Council comments? There being
Good
none,
with
would
it.
anyone here care to speak to the item? There being none, back to us. Final comments? Call the roll.
Councilman Grubbs,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Foley,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 5-0. Wayne, what else do you have to report for us tonight?
So thank you and the community for the opportunity and the support and the staff for everything that they've done. I do think we have a great city. Wherever I am, it's still the best job to have, so that definitely goes a long way. The conversation Scott and I have had about recruiting is differentiating employment with Port Orange from the other communities. It isn't always going to be about the money. It's going to be about how rewarding the job is and what do you get to do to make a difference in the community. I can't think of anything better than what we did a few Saturdays ago when we opened the rec. If you could bottle that feeling up and give it to everybody, that's the kind of thing you'd like to be able to do, and that was a great opportunity to be a part of with all of you for that, and so I look forward to continuing doing those things going forward. And now that we're done with that part, I can go back to the work part of it where I don't have a lot of reports, but I did want to say one thing when we were talking about the I-95 Pioneer Trail interchange. As a result of prior discussions here on the dais, we did put a link on our website to DOT's site that takes you to all their information. In looking at it and talking about continuous improvement, it's probably not the easiest thing to find. It is on our front page, so after we leave this meeting, we're going to go try to find a better place to put it on the website, and Mike can relink it out on social media as well. So we'll keep it there, but if you're interested in that project going forward, we do have a link on our website. You can constantly get to it and check it out. In fact, we worked with DOT to make sure we had the correct graphics and everything there, so that we wanted to make sure since it's not our project, we didn't want to send somebody to something that wasn't appropriate. So it is there, and we'll make it easier to find.
Okay.
That's all I have.
That's all?
Thank you.
And I appreciate that 100%. I just think too, Wayne, is we just want to keep in mind that as that project starts to unravel, they start clearing some land, the questions and the comments and the interest is going to grow rapidly. And so periodically, just in this forum, just brief, any updates and again, mention it. We should probably mention the link every single time, because people might not be going to it now, but as soon as they start seeing that, there's going to be a lot. In fact, it just kind of reminded me, I guess for the last couple of weeks, there's been a pretty large dredge operation going on in Ponce Inlet, and I was getting calls. And it's not in our city, but people are going to call us because it impacts our area, and they're going to see stuff, and they just kind of want to know, hey, what's going on? And they're out there doing some dredging and moving sand, strategically speaking, I guess, that can be pumped up on the beach at a later date. So, and you're right. I don't think. And by the way, I gotta commend Mike. Great. Who did I reach out to? I reached out to RPIO, who quickly tracked down the information, inclusive of a media release by the Army Corps of Engineers. So great job. Appreciate you doing that for me and getting that information so I can get that feedback to the community.
With that, moving on, council committee reports. Art House, Vice Mayor Foley.
I've yet to meet with them. They haven't held a meeting since I was appointed, so
Okay.
still waiting for that opportunity.
But they are open in the new building.
They are, and it's a really cool thing. Everyone should go check out their portion of that. I mean, it is awesome.
Excellent. Fire Pension Board.
Yeah, so we actually met last night, did a little custodial rebalancing to kind of fix some target allocations that just get off, every quarter as things move around. The fund, I'm happy to report, was up 4.4% for the quarter net of fees, and is up 9.7% fiscal year to date. So it's really good news
turnaround.
there. Absolutely it is. And I know I've been hard and spoken about it in the past. I'll also be very highly speaking of it when it comes to them doing good things. And I know that they've been making some adjustments as far as Frank's concerned, and so seeing some results of that. The value of the plan is now up to $38.3 million. At the next meeting, we're going to have a presentation to consider hiring an independent auditor for the plans. I know that police and general both have one of those, so we're going to have a presentation just to see what that looks like and see what the board thinks overall to decide if it would benefit the plan or not. One thing that I want to make you guys aware of is last night it came to the pension board's attention that the MOU that was agreed to a few months back had not come before council as an ordinance yet, and the pension board was asking where we were in the process of adopting that. And so I reached out to staff to kind of ask some questions. According to what I've learned, the issue actually is because the city is still waiting on an actuarial impact study, which is legally required before we can adopt implementing the changes that were set in that MOU. And the reason I'm wanting to let you guys know about that is because when it does come back before us, I'm going to probably want to make a motion to change the effective date of that ordinance closer to when we originally agreed to the MOU, so as not to negatively affect a couple of employees who have made decisions based on that MOU, thinking it would have moved quicker, and typically it should have and would have moved quicker. There was just the actuarial study holdup, so I just want to let you guys know about that, so not only why it's going to come, but also hopefully when.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Did they give any indication as to when it may come?
So Matt can kind of speak to this if need be, but essentially as soon as we have the impact study from the actuary, then we can bring it before council for a first and second reading.
Yeah, so I mean, was the actuary at the meeting?
No, the actuary was not in
Okay,
attendance,
so-
but I know that they're in communication now.
Okay, very good.
Very good.
We've got the draft ordinance ready. We've had it since March. So.
Reed, one of the, on the independent auditor, I think that's a great discussion point to be having. One of the things that I would ask the board to consider is that, we have 3 plans in the city, and if we can find, ultimately the taxpayers are funding this, all of these plans. So if we can keep that in mind and look for opportunities to maybe use similar services at reduced rates for all the plans, if that works in our benefit, that we have those discussions are had. We've talked about that in the past, because all the plans are all using, some are using similar, some are different services and stuff like that, and we're paying for these services multiple times, where maybe there's some opportunities to bundle some services and save monies for all 3 plans and thus all the taxpayers. So just kind of keep that in mind.
Well, actually, it's funny you bring that up. During last night's meeting, one of the other members mentioned that we should have the, I believe it's Zach from James Moore who
James Moore.
does. Yeah, we're going to probably have them be one of the ones who present, reach out to them directly, and that was another board member's idea that I thought was a really good idea for that same reason, because it could benefit all 3 plans. And ultimately, if the rest of the board sees it as a benefit, and we decide to go that way, then if we can save all 3 of them cost, ultimately that benefits the fire plan and its members, and that's what I would like to see. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Police Pension Board?
That would be me. We had our meeting yesterday as well, and equally as good of news, maybe just slightly better. The quarter, 4.9% net of fees, and fiscal year to date is 10.56 net of fees. So you're getting a double-digit return for the year, which is outstanding. And on January 1st, 23, the plan was valued at $52.43 million, and on March 31st, $54.94 million. So it went up about $2.5 million. And like I said, those are really good gains, and they got a lot back of what they lost the previous couple quarters. 2-3 quarters were pretty poor, and so it definitely is on the right path. So good news there.
That is good news. Roundtable of elected officials, that's me. We met last week. We had several things going on, and let me condense a 2-hour meeting in about 45 seconds if I can. I had review of from Community Health Needs Assessment, legislative update based on the county's expectations, and the 2023 hurricane season from Jim Judge. The big one, of course, is talking about the recovery updates along the beach from Hurricanes Ian and Nicole, and the exception that we got. And I have to give a lot of credit to a lot of agencies at the state level, but most predominantly Congressman Waltz at the federal level helped cut through the federal level red tape to get the exception so people can get their properties back in order on the beach side. Even though sea turtle nesting season began May 1st, there's no habitat on the beach right now because it got wiped out, and these repairs need to be made, and then habitat restoration can begin. The subcommittees, including the Nova Canal Task Force, several of us are doing work on their own right now, including the City of Daytona Beach with the Army Corps of Engineers study that's forthcoming. Transportation Subcommittee, which they, for some reason, put me in charge of. The whole committee approved the following people to join the Transportation Committee with me: Stacy Cantu, Commissioner from Daytona; Mayor Fred Cleveland from New Smyrna Beach, Mayor Bill Partington from Ormond Beach, Mayor Chris Cloudman from DeLand, Santiago Avila, the mayor of Deltona, and Carmen, whose last name I still don't pronounce well, from the city manager of DeBerry, and we'll be begin meeting here shortly to talk about transportation and the issues there and how we address those through hopefully multiple means. The First Step Shelter, I have not been privy to a meeting yet, but I do want you to know that I'll be touring that with Victoria Fallberg next week. And the Port Orange South Daytona Chamber of Commerce, the final item to report. Wow, hey, maybe council should get to be introduced to the new CEO and president. Barbara, come on up. Barbara Ann Keegan is here. And Tony, you can't let her come up here by yourself. You're a board member. You got to stand behind her, man. Tony Tucci.
Hello, Tony.
Well, good evening, Mayor and Council, and to the City Manager. What an honor to be here. My first impression of your city is impeccable. I've been here 2 weeks, very welcoming city, beautiful parks. Every day when I walk out of my office, I get to see families enjoying quality of life here in Port Orange. And I can tell that it's an intentional act on all of your parts and planning to make it that way. So thank you for your leadership. I want to let each of you know that I will be a strong champion of the city as well as to our business community. Thriving business community helps lift all boats and everyone succeeds. And in meeting with our business leaders so far, they have all spoken very highly of doing business here in Port Orange. I also wanted to let you know that I've kicked off my listening tour, and I have a survey on our chamber website. I encourage council members and the mayor to please contribute to the survey, because I'd love to hear your feedback. And we are also going to be planning a board retreat so that we will share the results publicly with the community of the survey and our strategic direction. So thank you for your partnership. And this Friday, I'm going to learn about family days, so I'm excited to participate in your events. Thank you so much.
And don't sneak off. I just want to make sure that everybody knows among the many things going on tomorrow night, one of them is a meet and greet happy hour with Barbara Ann at the chamber from 4:30 to 6:30. So members of the business community, I believe that's open, not just members of the chamber. I think that's terrific because people can come and see the value of membership in their chamber by meeting you, and maybe help as well. And council also Thursday evening is the business after hours, and it will be held at the chamber meeting from the chamber building from 5 to 7, and I look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you kindly.
You're going to be there, right?
I will be there.
All right.
We're happy to have you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you, Barbara Ann.
Congratulations.
I need help from a young person in the audience. Noah, can you come up here? See how fast he can come up here. Come on.
You're smiling too much, Noah.
Come on.
Said no one ever.
Oh, man.
Council, does
Hey,
any
Bud.
other business come before us this evening?
No, we can adjourn.
Well, then I need you to hit that real hard, and we are adjourned.